I saw tonight, actually, I meant to make this comment when the invite went out, but then I didn't. So I'm going to say it now. I saw that we had prostate health kind of as the topic. And I always like to start up front when we talk about male advantage and say, yes, prostate health support in this formula, but also men's wellness, right? So this really was designed to provide some specific support, not just for the prostate, but also specifically for sexual health for men, for cardiovascular health. I mentioned that there's some adaptogens in here which have some benefit for things like physical stamina, but also for cognitive health and function and mental and emotional well-being and energy. And then some, added nutrition in here, just very, gentle support for immune health also. So it is really a formula that I think when we talk about prostate health, a lot of men aren't really starting to think about that until they're up north of 40, right? Maybe even 50, or maybe even at the first point where it starts to get annoying that they're getting up one extra time during the night to use the bathroom, right? But, this to me is a formula that honestly, if I could pick, I would say men should start taking this in their 20s. Now I'm going to come back and talk about the formula a little bit. So just, for men's health, and again, moving away entirely from prostate, but even just looking at prostate, a lot of the changes that men experience as uncomfortable when they're in their 40s and 50s are actually starting in their 20s. So by age 25, for men of all health, the prostate starts growing. I always say there's like two things in your body which continue to grow, and it's your nose and your prostate gland, guys. That's it. Right? Sorry. It's just true. It's like one of those things that just happens. You're maybe ear hair. That might be the other one, is the things that just keep growing. So, and that's just kind of part of the process of aging. That is just literally, something that happens. And so for a huge majority of men, by the time they're over 50, that's going to result in some kind of noticeable change in urinary function, some kind of change where they're, usually the first thing people will notice is they're getting up to go to the bathroom, maybe in the middle of the night, and it's disturbing their sleep. That's an early thing that people often notice. So I mentioned the barking puppy to Steve up front. I have a puppy who is in a very talkative mood today. So I'm going to apologize for the very talkative puppy. When we look at the support that's built into here for prostate health, the primary thing that most people will recognize is saw palmetto root extract. So very well-studied botanical for supporting for the prostate gland. There's dozens of studies that have been done on this for prostate health. But I will also draw your attention kind of to the bottom of the ingredient list in here and say we also have an herb in here called pygeum. And pygeum is another very well-studied botanical for prostate health, especially with aging. And it's also been studied together, so to have sort of synergistic function. We also have a host of other things that are supportive for prostate health overall. So we have flaxseed. Flaxseed has been shown to support the prostate in a number of ways, and particularly for long-term reducing the risk of developing various disorders of the prostate gland. So also great for digestive function, and you've got some good essential fats in there. So some of your good healthy fats for supporting cardiovascular health and things like that. Additionally, for prostate, lycopene. So lycopene is actually a nutrient, very rich in tomatoes. So sometimes people have heard that tomatoes are good for prostate health, which they are, but you get a much more concentrated dose of lycopene that we can put into a supplement like Male Advantage versus the amount of tomatoes or tomato sauce that you might have to eat to kind of get the levels that we can put into a supplement. But not just good for the prostate. Lycopene is actually an amazing nutrient. Like we could kind of almost do a whole subtopic on that, but good for the cardiovascular system. So we have studies on heart health with lycopene. We also have studies on eye health. So in particular, all this time that we're spending looking at screens these days, lycopene actually helps to protect your eyes from what we call blue light damage. So it's really a great addition that we just kind of, have this little extra antioxidant boost for the eyes in here and also for the skin. So it's really good for skin aging and skin sort of health and function, immune function in the skin as well. So those are kind of some of the major ones. What else would I call out for prostate health? Alanine is another really interesting one. Alanine's actually kind of both promotes prostate health and urinary health for men. So this is one of the nutrients that really will help benefit some of those common, sort of urinary complaints that men have as they get older. So what about sexual health and stamina? Because that's another one that I get a lot of questions from. Actually, when we have women buying this formula, I suspect that's one of the reasons women are buying this formula, is for some of those particular benefits. We have a lot of great nutrients in here that help with this. Right at the top, zinc. I mean, not maybe the most exciting ingredient in this formula, but zinc is really important for testosterone production. And if you don't have adequate amounts of zinc, you just can't churn out as much testosterone. That's just real. On the other side of the equation, we have nettle. We have nettle root in here. People sometimes think of nettle for allergies. So again, that little beneficial immune health function from this formula. Nettle is great for allergies. That's another use for it. But in the role of sort of sexual health and function, nettle helps to it interacts with an enzyme in the body that when that enzyme, as we get older, will convert testosterone to estrogen. So by kind of knocking down the function of that enzyme a little bit, it helps the body hold on to more testosterone and not convert it from estrogen to estrogen. And that's something that happens more and more for men as they age. It's also more common in people who are a little bit overweight or have a little bit of insulin resistance. So it's a great sort of way to keep healthy testosterone levels by kind of keeping that downline metabolism of testosterone into estrogen. What else would I point out? I got to talk about ginseng for a minute. So Asian ginseng, sometimes called Korean ginseng. I know the ginseng names get really confusing for people sometimes. We've actually changed, even in the time that I've been working with BodyWise, we've changed the names of the ginsengs, how we talk about them more than once from like an official standpoint of their names. But Asian ginseng, very traditional herb that's used for sexual stamina, but also just for overall energy. Like ginseng is again, one of those adaptogen herbs that's just really good for energy, also for stress, for stamina. A little bit of data on this form of ginseng for cognitive health and memory. And then we have its partner, which is eleuthero root, which we used to call Siberian ginseng. Very good for, again, sort of promoting energy, stamina, a little bit more here on immune health for eleuthero as well. So we're kind of getting some of these extra things for immune health. And then anything else? I guess I can't talk about sexual health and not mention Damiana. Damiana is, again, another botanical. We also use this for sexual health in women. It's a very traditional, like of the herbs in this formula, this is the most traditional aphrodisiac. This is like straight up one that if you go and read the history of this plant, it was kind of made into a tea to be used traditionally, like to make people really just feel more warm and fuzzy and loving. So it's probably also not surprising that another benefit of Damiana is that it's beneficial for emotional health and wellness. People just tend to kind of feel a little bit happier overall and maybe a little more relaxed when they've got some Damiana on board. Outside of those things, just some other great herbs in here. Gotu-kola is one that I think a lot of people aren't familiar with. That's an herb that enhances circulation. So we can think of the functions of circulation in sexual health, but also, again, cardiovascular health. Your brain, Gotu-kola is a great botanical for cerebral circulation, which means that it helps with cognitive function and mood and just overall brain health. Our best role, and that's why I say, like, men can start supporting these areas of health in their 20s. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, the best role for this kind of nutrition and botanicals is, as much as we can prevent people from developing health problems, that is our biggest superpower that we have, right? Our biggest superpower is to provide the right kind of nourishment to give people longer, healthier lives.
Dr. Jacques, I had a question. I missed what you said about turmeric.
Oh, I don't think I talked about turmeric. I think I talked about like 90% of what was in this formula, but I don't think I said
Yeah.
talked about turmeric.
You
So
said a couple at the beginning. I didn't know if that's turmeric or not. So
yeah, no, there's turmeric root in here. It's a standardized extract, very high concentrate of curcuminoids in here. Turmeric is, again, another one of these botanicals that has so many roles. So there is some direct data on turmeric for prostate health. But you're probably also aware that turmeric is kind of more generally used in the body to help kind of maintain a healthy inflammatory response, right? So it will help support that function in the prostate, but also just about everywhere else in the whole body. Like turmeric, works kind of throughout the body to kind of help maintain like our normal response to inflammation. So that can be anywhere from the prostate to joints.
sure.
So it's just kind of great for all of the above. So it's sort of one of those super herbs.